I already did one video on getting these hinges on the Jeep Wrangler to move freer. The other side, I didn't always have the best camera angle or anything, so I'm going to try to do better on this side. There's 2 videos out there to find, then maybe it'll be easier for people to find it. At any rate, over time these hinges on these Jeeps tend to rust up a bit and makes it hard to open and close the door. So I'm going to take these out and lubricate them. This is probably not the way that the Jeep company would tell you to do it. On the other side, this is a T50 Torx head screw. On the other side, I had soaked it for 3 days with liquid wrench. I didn't do anything on this side because when I took them off the other side, it didn't seem like they were at all rusted. That's not the problem. And this is kind of a unique fastener here. It's actually threaded on the inside. There's a hole through it. I don't know if it's a blind hole or a all the way through hole, but it's probably blind because it didn't rust. If it was all the way through, water would get in there. But these fasteners came off easy, so easy on the other side. It isn't all the way through hole, but you can see that's threaded on the inside, and it's got the Torx head T50. See if I can get this in the... So that's what I'm using to take it off with. I'm gonna try... The other door wouldn't come off once I took these off. I'm going to try to take this door off. If it comes off, then I won't remove the hinges in order to clean them out. I'll just do them on the Jeep. But this one isn't as tight as the driver's side door was, so I'm not 100% sure which way it's going to go. At any rate, I don't know what these are made of, but these are not the problem. It's actually a part that's in here. So, there is a plug in there for what I think. Okay, that's not coming out, at least not easily. But there is a plug on the inside. I'm not going to take it off since the door isn't going to come off. I'm going to have to do it the way I did it on the other side, and that is to take the hinges off. Okay, right here, you won't be able to see it very well because the door is unable to open all the way here. There's a hinge with 3 bolts holding it to the doorpost, and there's a hinge with 2 bolts holding it on the bottom one. And the first thing you got to do to give yourself room to work is to remove this strap. It's a little easier said than done because there's a hook on the thing that you got to get around. And I'm checking here for my camera focus. So it's a little harder. Hopefully I'm not going to be in the way, but there's a little hook on the thing that it fits on back here. I'm going to hop in the Jeep and see if I can give a better view to the camera. Still get my hands in there. I've got to close this some. On the other side, I had taken there's a wire inside here. I believe it goes to the switch that turns on the interior light for the inside the cab. On the other side, I had taken that wire loose from its connector. Actually disconnected two connectors. And then I got this off after that was loosened. You wouldn't think it would be very difficult to do this, but for some reason it is. Okay, so that's off. Now I can swing the door quite a bit further open. Since I'm focused in on the bottom hinge, let's do that one first. There are two bolts here. If I remember right from the last time I did this on the other side, they're 14 metric. They are. Then what I did is I turned this a little bit. I'm going to go get a brass drift to pound on the top of that hinge. Okay, and I just thought of something. This may be a little more difficult than the other side was because I didn't put any WD or not WD-40 liquid wrench on this. It's also a more awkward angle to try to stay out of the camera. open the door a little wider, maybe it'll help. Should have soaked those. Starting to move a little bit. I don't know if you can see in there, but there's almost a plastic type lining, which I don't have, so I'm just going to clean it out and put some grease on it and put it back on. That worked on the other side. It worked on my 99 Jeep. So what I've done is, this is a 7/16 drill bit. I think that's the one I used for the largest one last time. This stuff that's in there, which doesn't appear to be much thicker than a garbage bag. Maybe a little thicker, but that's not very thick. And I just take this and rotate it in by hand and try to get that out. I don't want to use a really don't want to use a drill on it. Don't want to get too aggressive. I don't seem to be able to do this by hand, so I'm going to do what I did the last time. I'm going to get a hammer and tap it in a little bit. And I'll continue to twist it until I get it cleaned out. There. Again, that is not a very thick piece of material. What I had to do last time, because that gets flush with the hinge before it's totally loose. So I just take a little punch and drive it the rest of the way through. I don't want that to fall out or fall to the floor. That damaged the drill bit. So that 7/16 has gone all the way through there. And now I can get it in. Before I grease this up, what I'll do is I'll go around to the door and I will test fit it. I want to make absolutely certain that it'll go on before I grease it up. So there is the bottom hinge. This would be a lot easier if I had a cameraman. So, it must have been the next size up of drill bit, because this isn't fitting. So my memory's not as good as I thought it was. So back to the vise. We'll put that back in there again. We'll step up to the next size of drill bit. I don't think that's where I went before. There was still, I noticed as I was bringing this back over, a little bit of crud inside the hinge here. It wasn't completely cleaned out. I want to make this hole bigger because I don't want it to be sloppy in there. Let's try this again. If you're not a regular watcher of my videos, one of my principles is I show you everything. If it doesn't go well, you get to see it. It still looks like there's some crud in there. You know what? I think I might need to run that drill bit in from the opposite direction. Actually, if that's the way it fits, and I think it is on the hinge, I think we're good. Yep, that's the way it fits. So I'll be able to just grease this up. And all I do is take some wheel bearing grease and put it on the end of a screwdriver and shove it in there and rub it around. Try to do this here, a little bit of wheel bearing grease on it. It goes in this way. Shove it in there and rub it around. A little bit on the, what's left on the screwdriver on the other part of the hinge. And now, I have to put this in from the inside because that's the way it goes. So that's on. Start the T50. And what I think I discovered on the other side is that it's better to tighten this up first. It's easier to align the bolts on the inside. Once you have this in there and it's holding the door up to the height it's going to be, I'm sorry, the hinge up to the height it's going to be when it's going to be bolted in. So that's snug. I'm going to move the camera so you can see from the other side and reinstall the hinge bolts. So we're looking at the bottom hinge bolts. We're going to swing the hinge over, start the screws. There's one. Make sure that I've got these started correctly before I do anything drastic with them. First one is definitely started correctly. I'll tighten that up a bit. Move this to where the paint marks line up. There, that bottom bolt is lined up good now. Couldn't turn it because the hinge was hitting it. Okay. Door still closes, actually closes a lot better than it did. So we're done with the bottom hinge. We're going to move to the top one, which has 3 bolts holding it in. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take these out, knock that hinge off. Clean it out. Put it back on. Okay. So I need my hammer again, which I left over where I was using it as a vise. This one's a little bit easier because you have a better shot with the hammer to get to the, and the brass drift to get to that hinge to knock it off. Make sure that that's visible. Yep. So you can see I'm hitting putting the brass drift as near as I can to the hinge. It's going to make a liar out of me. It's starting to move. I'm going to move that out a little bit further so you can see how I'm pounding it. I can see that hinge is moved into the gap in the door for it. There it is. I'm going to take the hinge and the hammer with me and go clean them out. I'm not going to video that because you saw it the last time. Okay, I got that cleaned out, lubed up, and to put it on. Put one bolt in the hinge, close the door, and put the Torx bolt on, or the Torx cap. So make sure I can, yep, I'm in the frame. This has been a lot quicker than the last one I did on the driver's side, because when I did that one, I was figuring things out as I went, because these doors are made to be taken off, so I was a little surprised that, first of all, they bond up like that, or rusted up like that, but secondly, there's no instructions in the owner's manual on how to take the doors off even, which is surprising since they're made to come off. Okay. Check to make sure we're on Tighten. We're not. Now we are. Pick this door up and try to line the hinge. Tighten all the bolts. Shuts nicely and swings freely. Last thing is to put this strap on that keeps it from opening too far. The top of this pin that goes on has a pretty big hook on the end so that it doesn't slip off. It would be a little bit easier if they just made that a little bit smaller, but is that a... So that strap, now you can see the strap goes on a pin right here that has a pretty good hook on it so that it doesn't slip off, because when the door swings freely it's easy to lose it, and you don't want to be bumping into cars next to you. People might get mad at you. But there's the pin that it goes on. Can't quite see the hook, but it's there. See if I can. Can't get any light on it with this. That's it though. I'll just pop the window back on. Oops, I had the camera running that whole time. At any rate, I'll just pop the window back on and this job will be finished. It really swings freely now. It was a chore before to close the door or open the door. Done.